So they can see us?
Okay, I have 9 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. It was properly posted on November 10th. And our prayer and pledge, whose is it? Is it yours? Mine?
It's not District 1.
Anybody want to do it? If not, okay.
Yeah. If you please rise, if you're able. Dear Father in heaven, we ask your blessings upon us. We thank you for all the blessings of a free country. And we ask your holy wisdom upon us as we deliberate for matters for the citizens of Oklahoma County. We ask your blessing on all those here present today and all those watching online. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord. Amen. Please face the flag. Salute, flag. I pledge allegiance.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of November 1st?
I'll move we approve our minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The consent, let's see. You want to go ahead, Chantel?
On this item, we have a bid opening. We had one online bid opening. Office Depot.
This is for CW22028.
Janitorial supplies. And it's opened.
Okay, following are Harvey Sales, Oklahoma Janitorial Supply, South Central Industries, Home Depot Pro, Central Poly Bag Corp, Interboro Packing Corp, Elizabeth Pike Staples, Pyramid School Products. That concludes the opening of the bid.
Is there a motion they be tabulated and returned?
I'll move they be tabulated and returned.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chantel?
Following item is an award recommendation for CW22031 for lawn maintenance and supplies. We received 2 bids. Several of these items were, the whole bid in general was evaluated by our district yards and the different users that use it. I am recommending award to the lowest and best per line item to Canadian Valley Turf Farm and Simplot. There were a couple categories that are no longer utilized for fertilizer, herbicides, and herbicide application. And so we didn't receive bids on those and we won't be awarding those. But on the items that were bid, I am recommending award to the lowest and best per line item.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move the recommendation of the purchasing office.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any change to the blanket?
No changes.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move approval of our blanket purchase orders.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And you want to talk about the P card?
Just briefly, you'll start seeing these hopefully once a month. We do payments for P card. We had one last month and one payment this month. If there's ever any questions, I'd be happy to speak on that. But there is an attachment that you guys can see.
Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Our claims.
I'll move approval of our claims.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any individual consideration on the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve our consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Hooton.
I'd like Becky Ellis to please come to the podium. Whereas Becky Ellis will retire on November 30th, 2021 after a 20-year career with Oklahoma County Clerk's Office in service to the citizens of Oklahoma County. And whereas Becky began her career in Oklahoma County Clerk's Accounts Payable Department on February 20th, 2001. And whereas Becky has worked tirelessly in the Accounts Payable Department paying the bills of Oklahoma County, reviewing invoices for accuracy while working with all the county departments and vendors with dedication and professionalism. And whereas Becky is more than a coworker, she is a friend and part of the county clerk family. We've enjoyed hearing about her family life and getting to know her family, including her husband Charles, daughter Nicole, son Blake, daughter-in-law Brooke, grandson Bailey, and granddaughter Briar. And whereas Becky has earned the respect and admiration of her coworkers with her smile, friendliness, good nature, sense of humor, and dedication. And whereas it is with sincere gratitude we wish her a retirement full of happiness, spending her time with her family and friends, cheering on her beloved Oklahoma State Cowboys, and doing the things that she loves. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners of Oklahoma County does hereby recognize the significant contributions made by Becky Ellis and congratulate and thank her for her 20 years and 9 months of service to Oklahoma County in the Oklahoma County Clerk's Office. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Reception honoring Becky on her last day. So we'll get an email.
All right, is there a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then just real quick before we get into, I expect 31 to take a little bit of time. Do you need to do your diabetes? Do you have someone here
Yes.
for that?
And I do not believe Senator Hicks or anyone representing Senator Hicks is here. Let's make sure. So this is item 32. This was a request by Senator Carrie Hicks. We have done this resolution in the past, recognizing November as Diabetes Awareness Month in Oklahoma County. Senator Hicks is a huge advocate for ensuring folks with type 1 and type 2 diabetes have access to the medicine and the care that they need. Her son does have type 1 diabetes, and she has been through quite a bit with him. And now she is serving in our state Senate fighting for equal access to folks who need those medications. So I will read this resolution, and I'll take any questions or comments, and hopefully we will pass it. So, resolution declaring November as Diabetes Awareness Month in Oklahoma County, whereas World Diabetes Day was created in 1991 by the World Health Organization and International Diabetes Federation in response to the growing concerns about the escalating health threat posed by diabetes. And whereas WDD is official United Nations Day as of 2006 with the passage of United Nations Resolution 61. And whereas WDD is marked every year on November 14th, the birthday of Sir Frederick Banting, who co-discovered insulin along with Charles Vest in 1922. And whereas WDD is the global driver to promote the importance of taking coordinated and concerted action to confront diabetes as a critical global epidemic. And whereas WDD campaign is represented by a blue circle logo that was adopted in 2007. And whereas Turn Oklahoma Blue signifies the unity of the global diabetes community in response to the diabetes epidemic. Whereas every 21 seconds in America, another person is diagnosed with diabetes. And whereas the twin pandemics of COVID-19 and diabetes work together negatively to increase the severity and prevalence of both diseases and enable new pathways for the onset of diabetes. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oklahoma County Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim November as Diabetes Awareness Month in Oklahoma County. Approve this 15th day of November 2021.
Is that your motion?
I will move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you both.
And then likewise, do you want to do yours?
Please. Okay, so as many of you know, the other day was Veterans Day. We had some outstanding Veterans Day programs in Edmond where I was able to work with fellow veterans on those. And but also this month, November, is recognized as Veterans Month. So I have invited all those who are veterans here that are in our county family and things like that to come. And I wonder if you all would please rise as you're able. I see the chief there. Mr. Gammon. Is Mr. Taylor here? Okay. So, Deputy, thank you very much. Thank you. And I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Whereas in 1996, the Armed Services YMCA established Military Family Appreciation Month, utilizing the month of November to recognize the commitment of the families of our nation's service members. And whereas each year since the President of the United States signs a resolution declaring the month of November as National Veterans and Families Month to honor the families of both active military and veterans. And whereas it is customary for divisions of local government, such as Oklahoma County, to approve declarations honoring certain causes and memorials, participating in the recognition of the federal government. And whereas both the elected officials and constituents of Oklahoma County share gratitude for the daily sacrifices made not only by those in the military, but by their families as well, who by their love, support, and prayers strengthen those who have served and are currently serving. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oklahoma County Board of County Commissioners recognizes the families of veterans and active military throughout the month of November. And I will go ahead and move the item, and then I'll ask those who are veterans if you would come up and we'll take a photo. And then we have also had a request that is very appropriate at the conclusion of that, if you would, Mr. Clerk, David Hooten has asked if he would play taps, and I think that's very appropriate. So I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. If all those who are veterans, please come on up. We'll take a little picture here. You would please rise. Thank you, Mr. Hooten.
My grandpas both served in World War II, so I do think about the fallen and those that served. So thank you for your observation. Thanks for your resolution. Okay, normally I would have citizens speak on an item before a presentation, but I think the presentation might answer some of the questions, and then we'll have the citizens before any action's taken. So don't be concerned. But Mr. Beal, are you connected to us?
I am ready with the Commissioner.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, well, thank you, the Chairman, accommodating schedule. Are you guys eating that feed? Just me.
It's cutting out a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Brian? Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. So early on, let everyone know how the Oklahoma legislature provided a service to counties, and also counties were offered the opportunity, if they desire, to use the legislature district. They're of the seven. Can you guys hear me now? Just give me a thumbs up, Brian, if you can hear me. Excellent. Okay. I think when Walter did that, if we go to questions or comments, you'll just have to turn it back on. So like I said, the legislature split the counties up. The legislature's doing 72 of the 77 counties. The state senate, which Taylor and I are doing, we're in the process of doing 32 counties, 4 of which are still left. So we've finished 28 counties, and we have 2 of them that are voting, hopefully as we speak. So hopefully we'll just be you and county. And then the House had 40 counties. And like I said, there were 5 counties that hired either outside consultants or came up with some other way to do redistricting. So just to kind of give a high level of where we're at. So after the census, with all the delays because of COVID, we came up with Oklahoma County had 796,292 people. District 1 ended up being the smallest district with people. It had 244,089 people. District 3 ended up being the largest district with the most people. It had 288,625. And then District 2 came in at 263,578. Percent-wise, District 3 was over the ideal population, which is if you take that 796 number and divide by 3, that would be your ideal population. District 3 came in at 8.74% above. District 1 came in at negative 8.04 below, and District 2 made up the rest of the negative 0.7. So with that information, Taylor and myself, we met with all 3 commissioners separately, and then we met sometimes more than once with a commissioner, and then we met with some staff. And then after that, And I'd just like to say that I've already been through this with multiple counties, so when we put the map up, it's not an ownership thing. It's not a pride thing. Every county, you guys know your area way better than I do, and you know the wants and needs of your citizens. So when I say that, this map is just a draft proposed map, and I think that's how perhaps it's on your agenda. So Commissioner Mon, Chairman Mon, if it's okay with you, I don't know exactly how you want to proceed. I would just share the map, and then I could just kind of walk through some of the changes on the proposed map. And then this format, like I said, no different than my other counties, will allow the three of you to comment on it or discuss it with yourselves, since because of our laws, you can't discuss it that way.
Okay, and so as a matter of further explanation to the public and viewing audience, so the way I've chosen to do this was to call a special meeting on Thursday, which is immediately following our budget board that we're accustomed to being here regularly scheduled every month. So today, it was my hope that we could come up with 2 or 3 options as you watch us all go through the adjustments here live together, since we're not able to meet outside of an open meeting. And then we'd have 72 hours to consider those, get public feedback, talk amongst our staff, and then come back here on Thursday and choose one of those options so that it could be as transparent as possible. And we can have those maps, I hope, after today attached to the agenda for Thursday, because it's impossible to have a draft but we haven't looked at collectively and had a chance to give input on collectively attached to an agenda. So this is a discussion item today for that. That was my hope, and will be, of course, the board's pleasure. But for the public to be aware, there is that specially called meeting on Thursday. You want to go ahead with?
Yeah, that is
on the
perfectly
agenda?
fine. We've done that with multiple counties. We'll present a map, and then we'll have 2 or 3 different iterations of that map. And then Taylor in my office will email whoever you tell us to email. Sometimes it's the clerk, sometimes it's the DA, sometimes it's the chairman of the commission. Whoever you all tell us to email the maps to, we will email those maps to you. And then however you want to disseminate that out to the public is up to you guys. So with that, I will just put the map up after visiting with the commissioners. I will want to mention before everyone sees the map that we have one commissioner who has moved, and we have another commissioner who could possibly be moving. So with that said, I just want to put that out there. That's why the map will look a little differently than it currently is. All right. So what we have here is like I said, after visiting with all 3 commissioners, a proposed draft map. What you see on the screen are the numbers of the commission district. So 1, 2, and 3. And then the number underneath that is the percent that is a plus or a minus. What we're doing here at the legislature is really 2 requirements. A, the districts need to be contiguous, which all of these are. And then 2, we want to keep the population at plus or minus 2.5%. So after visiting with the commissioners, one of the main goals was to keep cities whole as best we could outside of Oklahoma City. So you will see here that Luther, Arcadia, Edmond, Jones, the Village, Nichols Hills, 4 Acres, Bethany, Valley Brook, Del City, Midwest City, Spencer, Nakoma Park, Choctaw, and Hara are all whole. So there's no splits in any of those cities. So I'll just walk through a couple main changes on the map. So District 1 was moved into the village on this proposed plan, and then everything north of the village up to 122nd. District 3, so District 2 came up here to get some people, moved up here to what's South Quail Creek, Nichols Hills, and the west side of the lake. And then in a kind of a counterclockwise way, District 3 then takes in Luther and Jones. So there's no change to this boundary on the up north of Hara. And there was, I'm going to go over this in a second, there was one minor change right here in this Spencer-Nakoma Park area that I can go over. And then I did some stuff. So I just want to point out a few things. One of the good things about us doing this after the legislative lines have been semi-finalized, they'll be voted on this week, and I'm not anticipating any changes in those. We were able to pair up the districts with the House and Senate lines. So you'll see I just put on the pink lines there are the State House lines. So you can see, for whatever reason, the State House went through the middle of this neighborhood right here. So right here, south of Hefner. So we were able to match up your county commission line like that. So the reason that's important is for the election board is they won't have to have a little tiny precinct for just these people. So we were able to match up the county commissioner boundaries with the same thing over there. So you can see that wherever we have that. The only other issue, when I mentioned the change over the Choctaw and the Spencer-Nakoma Park area, you can see this right here. Your line for the county commissioners used to go around this little white part right here. There are 12 people that live in this area. The State House went this way on this line. So just to keep everything simple for the county election board secretary and these 12 people that live in this area, we did that. I can also put the Senate lines on here. There aren't as many state Senate seats in Oklahoma County because they're bigger, and you can kind of see we have, kind of adopted some of the very similar boundaries for your all seats that they have, for example. And then I can put the proposed congressional lines on there, and you can see that we don't have any slivers with those. You guys really only match up on the southern Del City part, and then out here on this border between Midwest City and Choctaw. So with that, Chairman Mon, I will turn it over to, let me just give you the population that's in these districts right here that we have drafted up. District 1 would have 270,751. District 2 would have 261,761. And District 3 would have 263,780. So with that, Chairman, I will back up, and based on what you were telling, I can just give it a quick example of how easy it is to change if we wanted to make a change. Let me just get this. We can just start clicking away, and the parts that are red, we can add or delete out of a district. So it's real easy to do. Like I tell all my commissioners, it takes 2 to tango. So if you guys tell me what to do or not to do, we can move forward. So with that, I turn it back to you.
Okay, so to be completely open, I know it's a little hard to see on the screen. So if anybody in the audience wants to come up and look closer or get a picture as the way it is, feel free to do that. If you have a question you want to analyze, or on the back screen there at the rear of the room. And then, pardon? Can you, yes, just tell which area you'd like to blow out.
I can do whatever you, here, let me turn off these
if you
numbers.
Could make,
those numbers you saw were population. Those are people. How many people live in that block?
Okay, could you blow out the entire county as big as you can make it?
That is as big as we're going to get it.
Okay. Ma'am, did you get what you wanted? Okay. All right, so do we want to take some public input now that people have had this for our consideration before we start doing anything? We have Jennifer Edmondson.
Unincorporated Oklahoma County. I'm a different party than Mrs. Bloomer, but I have been excellently represented by her. Looking at this map, it seems more than population or voters in my household. It was probably my property value, because what I'm looking at Why am I moving in with Edmond and Deer Creek when the school district that I am gets so many federal dollars for school lunches? We don't have anything in common with Edmond. What I do have in common is Hara, Choctaw, Jones. Why am I in 3 instead of just shooting 2 on up to encompass us all? What does Hara and Choctaw have to do with Nichols Hills? And it kind of looks like that the village was carved out. I don't want to say for political reasons, but I might say for political reasons. It doesn't seem a clear, equitable map, but that's just me. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bloomer.
Mayor Jones.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of the commissioners today. First and foremost, I'm not in favor of change for change's sake. Now, I understand the census is not a change's sake. It's something that is required every 10 years. Having said that, I believe the 2020 census is very skewed, and I use that as the numbers that we got for Jones shows us that we gained 193 people in the 2020 census over 2010. I know that to be wrong because I know in the last 3 years alone, we built over 250 rooftops, and those houses are not sitting empty. So I know our population has grown. So the census is not correct, period. There's just no way to trust the 2020 census. For whatever reason, they want to blame it on COVID or whatever. They just didn't get out and count all the citizens like they have in the past. So I don't believe the census actually represents Oklahoma County or Jones as it is. I've got a 40-year relationship with one of the members of District 1 in Oklahoma County. I've known Brian forever. I've got a 15-year relationship with Joe Blau. I've worked with every county commissioner that has been in that seat since I've been mayor since 2009, and I've worked well with them. I believe I can work well with any 3 of you in whatever district I am. I truly do. But I don't believe it's time to change these based on that map. I think the map is not representative of Oklahoma County as a whole, and it would be my wish that Jones remains in District 1. Great relationship with them. And at the very least, I would ask if it's possible, just leave the boundaries as they are, at least until the next census or something better comes about. I don't think the numbers are representative of what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pullen.
Commissioner, can I address the census real fast?
Sure.
Just real fast, Mayor. Yes, there are complaints from people all across the state about the census. What I would recommend to you, and we are in a great situation because Senator Langford serves on the committee that oversees the census at the U.S. Senate. While it won't do anything for redistricting, one of the main, I would argue, the main function of the census is to hand out federal dollars to local communities. And if you believe that your census was incorrect, I would recommend that you go through the formal appeal process with the U.S. Census Bureau for your town of Jones. And it's a rather lengthy process. However, since every average is $1,700 per person per year, if you think the census is off by 100, 200, 300 people for the city of Jones, if you multiply that out and you are successful, you can see how that would be very beneficial to your town. So I would ask that if you do think that is incorrect, that you look into doing an appeal through the U.S. Census Bureau. And like I said, while that won't do anything for redistricting, it will help the town of Jones out or any other community that feels like they need to right or wrong.
Thank you. Carl Johnson.
Good morning. I'm the superintendent at Jones Public Schools, so that is my interest in this, and I would back up what Mayor Poland had said. I agree as well. We have I'm 23 years in Jones now, and we've spent a lot of time with District 1 and created those relationships and have a excellent working relationship. And I'd like to continue that. And the only other thing I might add is it seems incredibly drastic to change two entire communities and all of the unincorporated area between those two communities with one fell swoop. It just seems incredibly drastic, and I know it's going to get in our way. We have projects we've been talking about and working on, and District 1 is responsible for a lot of improvements in Jones Public Schools, I know, and Luther as well. So I find it to be incredibly drastic to just take those two communities and everybody that lives in that area and make such a huge change. So thank you.
Thank you. Is it Barry Gunn or Barry Gwynn? Gunn.
Mr. Chairman and honorable commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am Barry Gunn. I do have the honor and the privilege of being the superintendent at Luther Public Schools. Luther Public Schools has a long-standing relationship with District 1 because of the generosity of Commissioner Bloomert, because of the budgeting and generosity and willingness to work with his superintendent, Brian Jasper. We are able to do many, many projects over the course of years. This is a great savings to our school district, as you can imagine. Anytime that we can save money on maintenance projects, we can spend that directly on our students. And we respectfully request that you reconsider Luther Public Schools wishes to stay with District 1 if possible. Thank you.
You listed your address here, but not a town, and we have to have that for our records. What?
Luther.
Luther, okay. I didn't know if that was also your mailing address. Thank you, sir. All right, Sean Cummings.
Hello, everybody. What's worse than being predictable is being boring and predictable. I guessed this morning that the village was going to get cut out, put it on social media just so other people could see it. Now, the challenge here is he's not going to make it through DA, so if he gets back into this office, you have cut out his person that's running against him by doing this map. Now, I have dealt with all kinds of scumbaggery, not out of you, but out of you two, for a year and a half now, actually over a year and a half, and this would just be the latest. Now, you know, we have months to just move over to Quail Creek and then she can run again. It doesn't eliminate it. It just moves it slightly because he can't win. Now, his DA race is in jeopardy because of his own behavior. And when he has to come back down here, he's still got to run against Kathy. So you didn't accomplish anything. You took a whole city that somebody was a mayor of and moved him out because this guy can't win. And you're part of it. You will have the vote on this. Now, I have very little faith in any of you and a very little hope in any of you because you have turned out to be such scumbags over the last 2 years. I would hope that you wouldn't do this to our city because I live in the village. I'm a resident there. What are you going to do for me, Brian? Literally, you got the whole south side you got to take care of. What are you going to do for the village? We couldn't get this guy to give the money that Ray Vaughn promised. What are you going to do? Do you want to move into Quail Creek? Because that's the rumor. That you're trying to do this so you personally can have an advantage. So we have an electoral advantage for the guy that can't win. And then we have an advantage because you want to move into the district. Shame on you guys. And for these guys, you really want to say this is nonpartisan? This is over numbers? Honestly? Dude, when I saw you at the restaurant last week, you didn't look at us. I knew you were doing this shit. You're predictable and boring, and he's worse.
Any others here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, commissioners. Oh, I'm sorry. Come forward, ma'am. If afterwards you'll get with the clerk and turn in a slip for our records.
Good morning. Wow, Mr. Cummings is always a hard act to follow. I am Reverend T. Cherie Amore Dickerson. I am a constituent of Commissioner Bloomert. I live in District 1, but I also was one of the campaign organizers and the state coordinator for this U.S. Census for Oklahoma. I know how skewed and how difficult it was to even bring forth the effort needed in the middle of a pandemic. So I know the census is not correct. I don't even know if that's factoring into this. I happen to agree with and echo many of the things that Mr. Cummings just said, but the lack of equity for everyone that you are supposed to be representing is abhorrent. When I look as a woman of color, as a person who has been part of all of these districts, we've never received the just due within District 1. I've watched young students and families struggle because of the federal dollars that have not come. And now you're literally throwing the efforts of those that tried to do the best they could with the census in presenting this, and it's very offensive. And so I am pleading with you and standing for those in my community to say, do not do this. And again, snub your noses and your power and uphold the oppressive systems by literally changing this and cutting out your constituents. Please let this remain as it is. And yes, we can wait another 10 years till we can get an accurate census for you all to literally sit here and insult our intelligence and our being in saying that this is because of that. So and even the suggestion to be able to file an appeal when you know that won't do anything to what is being done to it won't help us. So we're saying if you have been elected to help us, then be representative of all of your constituents. Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, commissioners? Where would you like to start?
I want to talk about road miles for a few minutes. So currently, the way our districts sit now, the road miles that the three commissioners are responsible for are relatively equal within given 40 or 50 miles.
Yeah, the most, correct.
Correct. So District 1, and I thought I wrote this down here somewhere. District 1 has 205 road miles. District 2 has 164 road miles, and District 3 has 171. So they're within about 40 miles of each other. So currently, when we receive our funds to maintain our roads and bridges, which are paid for by your oil, your gas taxes, excuse me, we split those up 3 even ways. And do you know how long it's been done that way? I don't know.
As far as I can remember.
So it's been done for a while where we split up those proceeds evenly. So each commissioner has the same amount of resources to serve their communities. This proposed map gives District 1 67 road miles, District 2 159 road miles, and District 3 313 road miles. So we would no longer split up, I can assume we would no longer split up our proceeds each month to take care of roads and bridges. More would go to District 3 and less would come to District 1. So I think that's, looking at this map, that is my biggest concern, is that the amount of resources that District 1 gets would be less than the other districts. And I'm certainly not okay with that, because all 3 of us have the exact same authority and the exact same responsibility to take care of our constituents and to take care of our roads and bridges. And this proposed map does not do that. And I also have concerns with, I would love to have the village. I love the folks in the village, but I don't think we should put the village into District 1 when someone has already announced that they are running in District 3. That just doesn't feel right to me. I can't vote, I can't vote in that race. I have no say in that race, but it just doesn't seem right to me.
Okay, well, on the population, you have to pick up, I think it's 18,000.
Correct.
And it does have to be done every 10 years. You
Correct.
agree with that?
Yes.
And we're supposed to try to balance it within something. So what would you like to have to make up your 18,000?
So, and I'm glad Commissioner Mon, I'm glad you mentioned a few minutes ago that we could potentially consider several maps before Thursday. So I'm going to pass to you all a proposed map. And I'll have one to receive into the record. So this is just a proposed map, just like the one you see on the screen. The solid color blocks are what our districts are now. And then the pink and yellow lines are where this map is proposing to move the new districts. Basically, it takes District 1, the northern portion by, let's see if I can describe this correctly. By the Turnpike, it bumps it up north a little bit. And then way east out by Luther, it goes down and picks up a little bit of D2. So, and I know you all cannot see this map that I'm talking about, but it keeps all the same communities in the same district that they've been in. It is the least change to the map as possible. It keeps the same resources in all 3 districts. And it allows District 1 to pick up what they need and District 3 to lose the population that they need to lose. So this is just a proposed map that I think does the least amount of moving of the districts.
So you would mostly pick up your population in just south of Edmond?
Correct.
And then you come down and take some of my unincorporated on the east side?
Correct. Yes.
And remind me, because I'm not familiar, do your lines go all the way up to the Waterloo on the northeast side, or does District 3 have?
Yes. Yes, we go together.
So you would
Commissioner,
come.
I have that map. Put that on the screen.
Oh, yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
If it's the same map you sent.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. That way people in the room can see it.
So I'll try to explain this to folks. The yellow currently is District 1, the pink currently is District 3, and the blue is District 2. The proposed changes, you can see the yellow line that goes a little bit north of the Turnpike. That is proposing moving D1 up, and then the pink and yellow lines on the far right are proposing moving D1 down. And then also, up near Luther, giving Commissioner Calvi that top portion of the very far northeast corner.
So you don't want any of South Oklahoma City at all? I asked because I had been led to believe that maybe you did.
I don't think I ever said that.
Okay.
I think I was under the impression that you wanted to keep South Oklahoma City.
Well, when the original map was drawn for me to come see, it had drawn me out of my district. And so I said, well, I need to at least live in it. So they split it up one way because I was thinking that you wanted that area.
I certainly would not want to take South Oklahoma City away from you if you wanted to keep it.
Yeah, well, the area that was there wasn't, it wasn't a big change. And then I've told everybody, so it's not a matter of a rumor. My aunt died this summer and she left me a house, her home, and it's just on the other side of where the lake is. So I'd said if the line could be drawn where it could be in the district, that's great. And if it can't, no problem. I can sell the house. So There's nothing being hidden about that. My home's paid for and I've lived in it for many years. I can continue to live there. It's not a problem. But that was why the line was drawn up. Just I already go up to the south of the lake and then take in a little bit of that. Now, Nichols Hills had asked me, knowing that Commissioner Calvi had to lose 18,000 people or so, if they could move into District 2. And so I've been in touch with their leadership. So it was to never take the village for me. But it's not, even on that map. I wasn't trying for the village. I'm not taking the village. I'm not trying to do anything for you or to you. I was willing to accept Nichols Hills because we have to do for towns under 5,000 in population. And I thought you have so many of them as it is to pile on in District 1 with another town under 5,000. I already have to go to the western side of the county for Woodlawn Park, which is a very small community out near Bethany. And so we already have to snowplow that. We already have to go out there for disaster relief. So if we have to go there, it's not that far away to take on Nichols Hills. And if they wanted to work with me, I was willing to do it. So it would be, yes, to draw up there where my house that I've inherited is at, but it would also come down and take only Nichols Hills, not the village. But again, that's not a personal agenda. That was trying to help out. My population stayed basically exactly in proportion to what it needed to be. So if you wanted part of that area in South Oklahoma City, I would then have to make up just a little bit. So that's where I had drawn up that line, and that's why. You want to offer some comments?
Yeah. First of all, a couple of questions for Mr. Beal. So, Mr. Beal, it's my understanding in looking at redistricting and the kind of the legal issues involved that not only is equal population an important thing, but it's also the notion of trying to preserve communities of interest, right? Like that's why we preserve city lines. Is that also one of the just communities of interest? Is that one of the factors?
Legally, no. I tell everyone, Walter, if you want to hit again. I tell everyone communities of interest is in the eye of the beholder. If you asked everyone in that room where you're at, where does downtown start and end, you're going to get 45 different answers. But yes, communities of interest can be used as a guide to help people if that's a thing. Like I said in my opening statements, the two things that we had to do was to make sure the districts were contiguous, which they are, and to make sure that we stayed within that 5% deviation, 2.5% either way, which the map does. And then one of the main requests, one of the things that all three of you, that was a very similar thing that you all three told me, which I was happy to hear that all three of us were on the same, all three of you were on the same page of this, is that you wanted to keep cities or municipalities as whole as possible. So like I stated earlier, other than Oklahoma City, the map that was proposed previously kept every single one of those cities whole. So those cities are a community, so we did keep those cities whole.
Okay, I know.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I know in the past, under the Voting Rights Act and such, one of the factors that's been much discussed in redistricting is not diluting the voting power of racial and ethnic minorities. Do you know what the percentages are for our current county map and also for the proposed map, the first one we saw, and whether that helps improve the voting power of racial and ethnic minorities so that somebody from a racial or ethnic minority is more likely to get elected in at least one of the three districts rather than diluted. Do you know what those factors are?
I did not pull those numbers directly for that. Oklahoma is not a Voting Rights Act state, so I I don't usually pull those, but just knowing Oklahoma County, like all of us do know it, if you just look at the possible changes to one of those districts, taking out the northern part of the county, which is more rural and less minority, I think it'd be fair to say that the district in the middle, after we pull the numbers, could, I use the word could, have a higher propensity of higher percentage of minorities. And if the chairman wants me to pull that for numbers, I can do that and get those to you after the meeting.
Commissioner Bloomer, this map that you've given us, it doesn't, did you work with Keith on this? Did it take into consideration those new house lines? So is this area here by Nakoma Park, does that need to be buffed out? Keith, do you know what that would look, can you circle around what the changes, well, I don't know. Does it allow you to put the lines over what you're looking at now?
Well, if directed by the commissioners, I can not redraw. I can draw the commissioner's map in Maptitude, and if doing the house lines and Senate lines is not a requirement, it's not a requirement. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah,
to
but
make our friends at the county election board happier. But if we were to do that, possibly there could be a few changes to commissioner's map.
Well, I don't think those minor.
That was a very minor change. She
Right.
didn't come up west of the lake, so we're not going to have that. We won't have that change there that we had in the neighborhood by Hefner and MacArthur. And it is possible she might have a change over there in that Spencer, Nakoma Park, Choctaw area that I mentioned earlier. And then the only other area I would have to look on her map is kind of up where Nichols Hills, the village, and Oklahoma City, just north of Nichols Hills Elementary, all come together. It does get a little, we have a lot of lines that converge there, not only state house lines, state Senate lines, but we also, and I didn't have those on there, are the judicial lines. So I would have to look at her map up there in detail, but that would be the only probably 3 areas that would matter.
Okay. Do you have a couple?
If you direct me to draw her map in Maptitude and turn it over, then we can I can do that, and I can send it to Commissioner Bloomberg and get her thumbs up or down on that before we put it on your guys' website.
Well, I think I could speak on behalf of all 3 of us that those insignificant changes of buffing out to avoid a 0 precinct or a sliver precinct, I think certainly we'd want to do that with whatever rendition. Mayor Pullen?
Okay, I have a couple other questions, Mr. Beal. First of all, you had asked, and I would request that you do please, to the extent you're able, calculate the percentage of those from a racial or ethnic minority in the districts, both as it's currently is and with the first proposed map, and I guess if we're looking at this other one as well. And I would agree with you that the proposed map will for sure make it more likely that someone from a racial or ethnic minority has a much higher percentage of people who are also from racial or ethnic minorities in terms of election. And that is one of the things that I know has been a factor that has been used in redistricting in the past to try to not dilute the voting power of people from racial and ethnic minorities. I have also a couple questions with regard to, it was mentioned about roads and things like that. Are there other counties that have like kind of one predominantly urban district and 2 that are more rural or mixed?
Like I said, I've learned a lot. I thought my fun was going to be with the legislative and congressional lines, and I have learned that these county commissioner lines might be I might have bit off more than we all can chew. But there are a few instances of other counties, both rural and if you want to call like Comanche County urban. Comanche County is one that just has a very urban seat, and then they have a seat to the west and a seat to the east. There are some other counties, even the rural ones, where the commissioners work out a funding agreement amongst themselves, and they might have what you and me consider a rural town, but it might be the only town in that county where the commissioner has a good chunk of the town and doesn't have much else. He still would have some rural road miles. But as far as how they work that out with funding and stuff, I don't know. But yes, Comanche County does have just a truly Lawton-centric seat, followed up with 2 other seats.
Okay.
They all have a little bit of Lawton, but they have one that just is Lawton-centric.
I can't tell from this. Did you go ahead and take Nakoma Park in here? I didn't think so. Are you wanting Nakoma Park?
Not necessarily. I hadn't spoken with the mayor about that.
Go ahead.
I certainly would not want to try to take Nakoma Park away from you if you would like
Yeah,
to
well,
keep
it's not
it.
that. I'm just trying to balance out the towns and stuff. That's my thought.
Okay, I have one other question, Mr. Beal. You were also involved in the effort for redistricting for our U.S. congressional seats, right? Which is up for a vote this week at the legislature.
Correct.
Okay, so in that, I've noticed that some of the comments made on that are that they would like to see, some people who object to the proposed map would like to see a map that provides an urban core district. I'm quoting here State Representative Forrest Bennett. He expressed concern about splitting up minority groups. And then a gentleman named Andy Moore, People Not Politicians, talking about the congressional districts. Our goals was to equalize representation between districts, minimize splitting of counties, keeping communities of interest together whenever reasonable and possible to reflect existing natural and political boundaries, so that communities of interest again. And then also mentioning that having an urban core district. And of course, that's kind of what the proposed map, the first one, does here. I would, when you were first talking with the various commissioners, was there a time when one of the commissioners expressed a desire to bring the village into their district that wasn't, where they wasn't currently in the district?
Well, I'll let Commissioner Bloomberg speak for herself, and I'll just give my take on it. And if I misspeak, then she can correct me. But she had expressed to me that if needed, because of population shifts, that the village was a possibility. But did she particularly say, I got to have the village, it's the most important thing to me in my whole life? No.
Okay.
But she did say, knowing that she needed to gain people and that the district to the north of her needed to lose people. And so if that was a possibility, it could be.
Okay.
But as is evident by the map she submitted now, that is not her desire
Right.
today, I would assume.
Thank you.
But the time I met with her, she said it could be a possibility if needed.
Okay.
She has now submitted a map, so I would say she doesn't. But we could let her answer for herself on that if I misspoke or talked out of what she thought she said.
Okay.
No, you summed it up correctly.
Okay.
So, and then Commissioner Mon, for something you said, I also spoke with the Nichols Hills city manager, and you know, we've had a great working relationship. He's happy to do it, but he understood that because it would be likely that I would be needing to lose population, et cetera, he was also happy to be represented by you because he knows you and likes you. So, so that is accurate. So with regard to roads, just so people know in anticipation, first of all, this redistricting process does not benefit me. I'm not running for re-election to the county commission. So it will be left up to other people. I will, of course, continue to represent District 3 for till the end of 2022. With regard to roads, in anticipation that this might happen, and I still don't know what's going to happen, right? Thursday, I guess we'll find out. But I had heard people spreading rumors that I wasn't going to, if the road miles from Luther, Jones, and the surrounding area came into my district, that for some reason I was going to not retain the excellent staff that currently serves those roads with District 1, and that's just not true. And in fact, because I'd heard those rumors being spread falsely, I wanted to reassure employees over there that they would continue to have a job. And so for those who have enjoyed excellent road service from Brian Jasper and his very excellent crew, everything that I can do, I will retain them, and they will be responsible for those same roads. They'll still be working with you at the schools, with the cities, and doing those roads. So you'll see no interruption, no change in that. We'll certainly serve that. Also, in anticipation of that this might happen, I wanted to kind of, get some objective view on what folks in Luther and Jones and the Oakdale School District that are currently in District 1, that if that first map were to be enacted, would now be in District 3. So I went ahead at my own expense, commissioned a scientific poll to be done. And so that poll was done, contacting everybody, or attempting to contact everybody that had a phone number in those areas. So that'd be all the area that's currently in District 1 that would be going to District 3. And of those, the response to this question, do you feel like you and your neighbors have more in common with suburban and rural Oklahoma County or central Oklahoma City? Okay, and again, that question is related to that communities of interest remark that we have. And it's a randomized sample. I've got a copy of it here that explains the methodology. And of those who responded, 16% were unsure, 71% said they had more in common with suburban and rural Oklahoma County, and only 13% with metro or central Oklahoma City. And if you do the math and back out, of those who responded, that's 84% of the people in Jones, Luther, Oakdale schools, and the rural areas surrounding that, the ones in question that would be in District 3 if the first map passes, that are now currently in District 1. That's 84% of the people saying they'd rather be in a, they have more in common with the other people currently in District 3. So I appreciate that there are, maybe a handful of people here who think otherwise, but that's the very tiny minority. So according to a scientific poll again, most of the people in those areas would prefer to be or have more communities of interest with the residents who are currently in District 3. And again, just to stress, we, those of you who have expressed that you want to see, good road service, that will absolutely continue. You're welcome to visit with, folks in the city of Edmond or other places where we assist with roads, and they'll tell you they're very satisfied with their road service there. That will continue with the same people that you're being served by now.
Can I play this out here with you and say if you took Nakoma Park, are you interested in that? Would you take it since they want you, or you don't?
Do you want to keep Choctaw Hair and Nakoma Park together?
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying if you want to take it, then I was going to ask him if he moved that in and then put Nichols Hills into my district, what that would do to the population. But if you don't, if you're wanting lane miles, that gives you more lane miles with Nakoma Park.
And put the village back into D3.
Because Choctaw is over 5,000.
Right.
So in terms of, with every suggestion or input I put in, if I was looking for a just-in population without, like for instance, if I did run up and grab any more of Northwest Oklahoma City, that's all represented by Oklahoma City, just affects the population, it doesn't affect the lane miles, was my suggestion. So if we mess with these small towns, that does affect that count. So that's why are you opposed to Nichols Hills coming into my district? That doesn't bother you. So what about, is it all right if I ask him to put that number in and see where that offsets? Keith, are you able to do that while we watch?
Well, I don't have Commissioner Bloomberg's map drawn into Maptitude.
Oh, I see
But
what
we
you're saying.
can, here, let me, stop sharing that. So let's just see here real fast. Nakoma Park has, 2,300 people. And Nichols Hills is gonna have 3,800. So it's not an even swap, but it depending on where we're at on her deviation of population, depending on where we're at. But I can draw that I can draw that too. I can just draw her map and then I can put
Yeah, and I know that
Nichols Hills back into
that's-
yours. I would just say that it seems like it's always an easy thing just to trade
No, I know
numbers
it's
between
not.
two seats. But even
Yeah.
when you do that, you end up messing with the other one too.
Because
So
under her
there could be-
proposal, she
there could
has,
be a situation where we have to do a clock.
yeah, under her proposal, she, and it's all within the deviation, but I'm at the highest. And so I would assume I'd have to give up something in order to take that. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. And if you're already the highest and you did the swap for Nakoma Park for Nichols Hills, you're going to be even higher. So you're going
Right.
to end up having to lose more. So just keep that in mind.
Keith, can you zoom out and show this current map that's on the screen so we can see the whole county? So, I pointed out earlier the road miles that correspond with this proposed map. I can assume, but I need to ask, would we be changing the way that we are dividing up the road and bridge money that comes to us every month?
I'm not sure that that's within the scope of the agenda item to discuss, but that would seem fair. That's all I'll say about it, that we would divide it up proportionally.
I thought it, unless the district didn't have any miles, I thought it was statutory, but you don't think it is? I thought that there was an effort to change it at the legislature, but that it failed.
And maybe one of our chief deputies can confirm this, but I think you're right. I don't think it's statutory. I think we just divide it up evenly
By custom.
by custom, correct?
Mhm.
So if we were to follow this proposed map and no longer divide them up evenly, we would divide them up based on the road miles. District 1 would get a significantly less amount of money. And money equals support for the community, roads, bridges, school projects. So I understand this argument about trying to keep rural type communities together, but that very much disproportionately impacts District 1. And District 1 on this map has a large African American population and a large Hispanic population. So you're going to put African American population, Hispanic population in one district together and give them less resources. I'm not okay with that. Not okay with that.
Well, the resources for the area predominantly would be borne by the cities, as they are currently. If you have a city that's above the population of 5,000, the city is responsible for the roads. So Oklahoma City, for instance. responsible for that. So there's no dilution of resources there. It's the city that does that.
Well, I can't
Okay,
speak
well,
to
if
the
the
city.
argument was that the road miles or the money stays the same, then does that change anything for you, what you would want or not want?
Ask that again.
If we still stayed a third, a third, and a third on the funding, does it change for you what you'd want and what you don't want?
I mean, my,
Because you're increasing your road miles under your proposal, correct? You're at least coming down and grabbing some of mine.
and I'm certainly not meaning to intentionally increase my road miles.
Well, I'm
My-
just asking.
Okay.
It's not a,
Okay.
Well, my question is how is the money divvied up? You said a third, and a third, so everybody gets an equal share. Why is the money not divvied up per road miles if that's what the main function of the money is for? Why wouldn't it be given where it's gonna be used? Because in that scenario, absolutely, Commissioner Bloomer, District 1 and District 3 in Commissioner Bloomer's map would be at a huge disadvantage money-wise when it comes to road miles, because you got more road miles. But yet, District 1 or 2 would be getting the same amount of money. You guys need the money for the road miles. That's my question.
yeah, that's one reason why I've been asking about the Nichols Hill. You're right on, that would balance that out some more for District 2 so that it's not. Certainly 10 years ago when I was here, we made an effort because District 1 carried the burden a lot. And so I took Nakoma Park then. That was one reason why, is to take some of the burden off the District 1 fund. And but then Hera rolled off because it went over 5,000 in population. So that's why I was stepping up to the plate again. And I'm willing to take Nichols Hills if that's because we already go over to service Woodlawn Park, can help from that being an extra weight. It's not only just about the money too, it's about where you're servicing, if you're responding, if your crews are already working and stuff. It just don't want to send them in different. I'm just thinking in terms of logistics. So that one, if we didn't have Woodlawn Park, it wouldn't make any sense at all to go out there. But since we already addressed that, and every proposal intends to keep Woodlawn Park in District 2, it's so far away from the other two commissioners' barns that it doesn't make any sense for them to take them either. So if the funding stayed the same, there's no change to what you would want or not want. If it was a third, a third, and a third.
If the road miles were relatively equal. I just don't think it's fair to give one commissioner, one district more responsibility, more resources. It just doesn't add up to me.
Keith, can you tell me what the road mile, does your software tell us automatically what the road miles are in Nichols Hills?
No, I send the road miles to ODOT.
Okay.
And I jokingly tell everyone, and you all will appreciate this since you deal with them, I will either get a response in 30 minutes or 2 days. So, but Maptitude doesn't have the road miles. We draw the map, we email them the shapefile, and then they get back with us, like I said, sometimes quick, sometimes not.
Okay.
So, so that was going to be at my end when I get my marching orders, what we're supposed to do. The sooner we get drawing, the sooner we get going, the faster we'll get the answers to those questions from ODOT.
Well, under your proposal, you still have the least amount of people. Is there anywhere that you would be willing to accept people to balance out your number better? Because if I did take Nichols Hills, it further pushes District 2, which would be the most populated district, up even further, even if you took Nakoma Park.
Right.
Is there anywhere else that's
I don't have-
amenable to you?
I don't have a strong preference. I'm willing to go a little bit south if you're comfortable with that. I'm willing to pick up other communities out east, like Nakoma Park, that I don't have a strong preference.
Okay, you have any suggestions or input? I know, like you said, you're not seeking reelection and you're willing to represent everywhere you get. Is there any
No, I thought the first map's fine.
preference?
Preserves
Okay.
commonalities of interest, creates an urban core district. It bolsters the voting power of people from racial and ethnic minorities, and according to the poll, the voters in the area that would be coming into District 3, they're currently in District 1, want it overwhelmingly. And those who want to see good road service will continue to get it from exactly the same people who are getting it now.
Do you have any objection if I did go up to grab South Quail Creek for where I inherited that house? It's just, I already represent the lake, so it is literally hopping over the lake, which contains no population, and taking in that one neighborhood. But I mean, it's in your district, so I don't know if that's an area that's you're affectionate and you don't want to lose it. Or
I know of your, I've heard of your desire to do that. You haven't spoken about it, of course, but I had heard that you had some property there, and it's a great neighborhood, and I'd be very happy to keep that neighborhood, but I do understand your concern, and I appreciate that, and I'm happy to accommodate it.
okay.
So for Thursday's sake, for us taking a vote on a map, we can essentially attach several versions.
I was hoping we would.
Okay.
I mean, for us, for the public, for us to ponder,
Right.
because I've got to go back and think about which road projects we're in the middle of. As someone mentioned, we do these long term, as we budget for them. And I appreciate both inputs agreeing to take some more road miles because, as Stacy always points out, District 2 just seems to have had some very complicated situations, particularly driven by XXX road. So it has taken a disproportional amount. And then we also had the most miles of the Kickapoo damage for the turnpike construction, which we've been trying to make up for. So I welcomed some relief. I thought this was a great time to adjust so that a district could maybe assist us with some faster recovery for our infrastructure. But I also need to consider where, and I guess I'll speak for me, anything that was a pending project, at least for District 2, even if it moved across lines, of course, that doesn't prohibit us from working across a district line. So I'd be willing to see through any project I currently have. I wouldn't expect, well, now it's your problem and you take over. So is that a friendly agreement that we could all agree on while considering these drafts, that we would still see through a pending project? I think future projects could be revisited, but shovel ready, as they say. Okay. Keith, are you able to draw some lines with us here real quick?
I can do whatever you want. I mean, this has gone on longer than we've now approached my longest county commissioner meeting.
Okay.
And we are just a slight busy up here.
Welcome to
I
Oklahoma
was making
County.
notes on what I needed to do, but yes, we can draw some lines if you want. So you just tell me what you want to do.
Keith, can you put Luther and Jones back into District 1?
You're pleased with the original map that he produced, right?
Yes, it's not perfect, but it does the major things that.
Would you want any tweaks to it?
Not really to speak of.
Okay. So, Commissioner Bloomer, can we call this your proposal here? And then can we agree?
All right, so I put the towns of Luther and Jones into one. I would assume we want everything else in between that in there.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go with 3 different maps for consideration to be adopted on the agenda for Thursday's consideration. So this will be District 1's proposal.
All right, Brian, I'm gonna back out of this real fast, Brian, and then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna make a copy of this one, and then we'll start drawing another one. So let me just get out of this real fast. I'll be right back.
And while he's doing that, I do want to point out that we do have staff here at Oklahoma County that can help us draw these maps. So if for whatever reason a map needs to be drawn and placed on the agenda, we don't necessarily have to use Keith's office.
Okay. So, Brian, this little area right here, part of unincorporated, is that going to go into you or into one?
Where is it currently? I think it's currently in 1.
I think it goes to District 1.
I think it's currently in 1.
All right, do you want me to keep going up this little bit right here?
Yeah. Yes, please.
How far west are we gonna go south of the turnpike?
Can you zoom out just a little bit?
Here's I-35 right here,
Yeah.
and here's Oakdale.
So Oakdale is currently in District 1. So currently D1 follows the turnpike.
I'll go and clean all those up, those little fingers like that. And then up here, north of Luther, what road are we gonna
Yes.
go over to? How far?
Up to the county line.
No,
Yes.
I know, but how far west?
Currently the line is, Brian, what's our western line? Choctaw Road.
So something like that?
Yes. And then could you go over to the village?
Right here?
Yes.
Put that back into,
3.
Okay, anything else?
Brian, our northern line, you see the village and then it kind of goes up. That's not currently our line. It's farther south, right? And I guess it doesn't, as long as the village is not in D1, I don't have a preference as to where these lines go.
All of the village is in 3, and then this is gonna be May, this is gonna be Penn. So this is gonna go up this way up towards Edmond, and then, this is Western, right here. Then this is just the village boundary with Oklahoma City, and then this is the Nichols Hills boundary. And then this one little street here, if you've ever driven up Penn before, you'll see you're in Nichols Hills, and then there's one street, Oklahoma City, and then you're in the village. So this is just an Oklahoma City street that comes in.
And Keith, District 1's northern boundary in this area currently is Britton Road. I think that has it taking it all the way up to Kilpatrick.
So you want to push 1 all the way down here to this, right here?
That's where our current boundary is, but I guess under the presumption that District 1 needs to gain population. Brian, maybe it's best that we push it up north.
District 1, I mean, technically they're all within the 2.5%, but that's like I said, that's up to you guys. So whatever, I mean, you guys tell me if you want to push this down to Britain and push this up to Britain, or whatever you guys want to do. If we see, if there's enough people, if there's too many people in there, we can just stop.
Well, and maybe the best thing is for the map that we had sent you previously that is not loaded into Maptitude.
I can just draw it.
Yes,
Okay,
for time's sake.
I can do that. That'll take me about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and I can get it to you guys sometime this afternoon. If that's okay with the chairman.
Yeah, that's fine. Just, would it be all right with the board if he sent them to me and then I attach them to Thursday's agenda? Is that okay?
Brian, what email is the best one for you?
Brian,
Or do you want to send that to me offline, or do you care about saying it out loud?
it's fine. It's Brian, BRIAN at okcounty.org.
So we're gonna have the original map, Commissioner Bloomberg's map, and you said 3 maps. So what was the other map?
I was going to propose, if you go to the original map,
Here, I can just I'm gonna draw Commissioner Bloomberg. So yeah, go ahead. So I'm just gonna back out of all this. No biggie.
you tell me when you're ready.
Okay,
Okay, if Nakoma Park into District 1, that already has Nichols Hills in District 2, correct?
yes.
And
So what am I gonna take away from one?
because she's already over in population.
Yeah, if
The-
we put Nakoma Park into District 1, and I'll just click on this city, then I could clean it up later, but you can kind of get a,
Yeah. So I guess South Oklahoma City,
you would just have to either go
return
in
it,
here.
return that area south back to me.
Okay, all right, well, so that's your third map you want to change up?
Carry on road miles for, are you amenable to any of these road miles over here? Because again, I'd welcome the relief on, I'm not trying to make it disproportional to where, but I'm not shirking my duty, but if there's a way to have some help, shared help, so I don't know if there's if Brian Jasper's here is he still here?
Yeah.
Oh, right there, just in front of me. If we went over to, how much population does that affect between the two of us there?
Which locations, Brian?
Well, between 1 and 2 at that point. Do you have that roughly?
If we put Nakoma Park in there?
Uh-huh. And South Oklahoma City went back to me.
Yeah, I would just, this area down here is very, very dense, so
Yeah.
it won't take much.
Yeah.
So, it would just, we just find a census block here, and we would be fine. So, that's not gonna take very much. So I can do that pretty easily.
So then do you have a suggestion about any of these lane miles over here?
I'm certainly open to it. Brian Jasper, do you want to add anything? This is my road superintendent, Brian Jasper. Here,
Unincorporated miles, he said.
yeah, yeah,
Which is a little hard to tell on this because
Right.
it's not got the
right.
yellow.
I'm open to that.
Okay. Oh, I don't know the best way to do this then without us seeing a map for unincorporated.
Well, and
If-
as long as the proposed map that you want is attached to the agenda in advance, we
If-
have the ability to go work with Keith.
Yeah, it doesn't, it would not be a huge population shift. It would be adding to your
Okay.
miles. And then if we could just agree that I'll work with him to negotiate the difference of the population from that inner area of South Oklahoma City.
Okay.
For my proposal, that doesn't mean that you're endorsing it necessarily. It just means that that's where I would trade out the numbers. Okay, so then that's fine. All right. Keith, I'll get with you to finish out those final things. The public knows that's generally the area that we're talking about.
See, Brian, just so you know, like this little block in red right here, that's
Uh-huh.
1,100 people.
Yeah.
And then up here,
I know it's not going to take much tweaking.
it won't take much. Basically, those two clicks right there, these two are the size of Nakoma Park.
Mm-hmm.
So this area down here has a lot of people. So it won't take very much to do that. And if you went over here, 1,400. So they're all about the same. But there's you know,
Okay,
that one. You
all
know,
right.
so they're all about the same. So what I have here is, just so I get my marching orders, we have the original map, which is easy. We have the Commissioner Bloomer map, which is easy. I'll draw that. And then we have this Nakoma Park to District 1, and then some form of the south side of Oklahoma City into 2 to deviate from that population. And then Commissioner Calvi had a request if he wants to state that exactly what he wants from me, so I'll make sure I get that exactly.
Sure. To the extent that you're able, if you can, both on our current county boundaries and on the 3 proposed maps, see what the percentages are for the 3 districts for people who identify with a racial and or ethnic minority.
Okay, I will get that out. I will just tell you that when I give you all the racial data, it will go up over 100%. And the reason it does that is some people identify with more than one race. So, so when you get it and it comes up to 103 or 104%, don't think that we did something wrong or something is incorrect. It's just that some people identify as more than one race.
Yeah, I was familiar with that.
So that just wanted to give you guys a heads up when you see that.
Okay, so I would like to make this motion that we have these rough 3 drafts put on the special meeting agenda for Thursday.
May I make a quick comment before you
Oh,
do
yes,
that?
ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Mr. Hooton said I could come up and give a comment. My name is Kathy Cummings. I'm on the city council in the village and the former mayor as well. I appreciate Commissioner Bloomer wanting to keep the village in District 3. I absolutely agree with that the village does need to be kept in District 3. We've been a member of District 3 for nearly 40 years. And I am, as you said, running for county commissioner in District 3. However, a lot of you had mentioned that you had spoken to mayors, city councilmen, city managers in these municipalities, but I don't think you guys have contacted or reached out to anyone in the village to get their opinion, and I just didn't know if you had done that yet. And if not, would you? And I wanted to reiterate that the village really needs to be in District 3. There's no reason to move it. So thank you. I appreciate it. And if you could, our city manager, Bruce Stone, would be happy to speak with any of you. And also, will we be able to see these proposed maps before Thursday's meeting?
Yeah, they'll be attached to the agenda.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's the reason we had to have 2 meetings, so that we could get some drafts on the agenda. Okay. I'm going to start my motion over again. So I'd like to move that we put these 3 working drafts maps on the Thursday special meeting agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then, I don't know that a motion's necessary. Keith, you'll just bring back that information Commissioner Calvi requested and.
Yeah, I'll,
Okay.
your current lines, I will have that data today for you 3. And then that, the first map, I will have that data for you. As soon as we get off here, I can get that. And then once I draw, Commissioner Bloomer's map and then the proposed change that Chairman Mon wants, we'll have that. So, my goal would be to get that done. I do have a meeting here at 11. So once you'll get that sometime today, Brian.
Thank you. I'm so sorry for the length of time we took of your time.
No,
You're
it's all
busy.
good.
Thank you, Keith.
You saved me from having to go to the 5th floor and go to a special session. So something all works out. So,
All right.
So no, I'll get these done today. And then if you or Michael want to get with me on the exact neighborhood or neighborhoods on the south side, just let me know. Or if not, I'll just make a suggestion and send it to you.
Yeah, probably just a suggestion. I don't have a particular preference. Okay. Thank you very much, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you
Thanks
guys need
for-
anything, let me know, and I'll be in touch.
Thanks to Taylor also.
Yes, she's gonna do all the work. I'm just gonna send it, have her do all the work. So we'll be
We
good.
appreciate
So
it.
thank you.
Okay. All right. So now that takes us to engineering. This is a welcome agenda item. It's the funding agreement with ODOT for a project in front of Deer Creek High School and Middle School. We had a project that's been shovel-ready for probably 6 years, and we just never could get it funded. It was about a $4 million project, so it was a little expensive for most programs, and we just couldn't score enough points compared to the cities with traffic and accidents and so forth to ever get funded. So what we've done is we've cut the design back. It's about a $2 million project now. We still didn't have an allocation for construction funding, but I suspect that some other county in the state, and I don't know which one, could not spend their allocation, so ODOT has offered it to us because we have a shovel-ready project, basically. We're gonna have to do a few minor tweaks to it, but it looks like maybe the February letting for this project, and maybe finally get it off our list after all these years.
It's a very welcome project, and I'd like to publicly thank State Representative Nicole Miller for her efforts on this as well. She is newly named as the subcommittee chair for transportation on the Appropriations and Budget Committee in the State House, and she's doing a great job. And so we appreciate it. And with that, I will move this item.
One more thing, there was a little scrivener's error on page 5 of the agreement. We caught it. ODOT has given me an updated sheet. The clerk has it. The just discrepancy in 2 numbers. The lower number was correct, and it's been fixed now. So.
Right. So I will amend my motion to be, I will move it subject to that, correction on the scrivener's error.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Citizens of Deer Creek, thank you.
Okay, Tyler.
Commissioners, this is a project of Mr. Alfred Lai and Ling Hong Quinn. I believe that's the correct name. They have a 9.5 acre property in District 3 that's currently zoned as R2 under the new zoning regulation, which allows for some agricultural use. Mr. Lee and Mr. Quinn come before the Planning Commission and requested that the property be allowed to go beyond the indoor agricultural use. Currently, they do grow marijuana in the building that's on the site now. It is authorized and they have been approved by the state to do so. It's agricultural, indoor agricultural. Our new regulation says that you cannot have a building that exceeds 6,000 acres in a indoor grow without a special use permit. Mr. Lee and Ms. Quinn, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, they would like to add approximately 70,000 square feet of building. And actually, they want 5 separate buildings to increase the amount of indoor grow capacity. And it cannot do that under the current zoning without a special use permit. Yeah, I was making sure I stated that right. They came before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission recommends to deny this particular item based on incompatible use. They feel that this would additional buildings, if the project were to go sour, you have all these buildings on this property, and it is subject to becoming commercial with all those buildings on the property. There's some other items that the adjacent property owners brought out that they did not want that in their neighborhood. Eventually, there were letters that were submitted that were a significant amount of, as per regulation, the frontage in which they front on the property is enough considered significant. So whatever vote that you take at this time, it has to be 100%. We can't have
Well,
a
it's in
partial vote.
District 3. What do you want to do?
I would move that we follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission and deny the application.
Okay, is there a second?
And I just want to clarify that our current regulations allow them up to 10,000 square feet of grow space. And this applicant was asking for 70,000 square feet. I just want to make sure that that's correct.
Let me read you from the special use permit. In
Okay.
accordance with Article 4, Section 6, special use permits shall be required if any one building exceeds 6,000 square feet. They currently own 1,300 square feet now.
Okay.
And so if the combined buildings used for indoor exceed 10,000, if he has several buildings, is the limit. But he has only one building and he exceeds the,
Well, it doesn't.
he doesn't exceed it
Yeah.
at this point.
It doesn't matter. It's not going to be unanimous. So, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Sheriff. Thanks for waiting.
James here. Good morning, Commissioners. So this is possible action partnering the Sheriff's Office with Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for 2M2L or Too Much to Lose. And this to prevent underage drinking through enforcement of youth access to alcohol laws, and then to prevent over-service through enforcement of serving intoxicated persons.
And have we done this program in the past?
You know what? For historical context.
Okay.
Yes, several times.
Okay, I had a feeling we had. Okay.
Move the item.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Second one is possible action on a memorandum of understanding between Metro Technology Center and the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office for the assignment of one deputy to the campus. This is for the basic police officer training academies. This cost of the deputy is covered by Metro Technology at 100%.
It's a good deal.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this is possible action regarding the memorandum of understanding between Immigrations and Custom Enforcement, Homeland Security Investigations at the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. And this MOU provides overtime compensation for our deputies involved in significant criminal investigations alongside HSI. These investigations typically involve narcotics and or human trafficking investigations that cross state lines and are not related to immigration enforcement.
Move the item.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This possible action, understanding that this is a renewal between the Drug Enforcement Administration and the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office for the provision of one task force officer.
Move the item.
And this is a renewal, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And 40 is for the asset forfeiture sharing agreement renewal between DEA and the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office.
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Commissioner comments, District 1.
I do appreciate that even though the three of us might have different opinions about how our maps should look, I do appreciate that we let all three of us speak our opinions and what we wanted, and we let folks come up and speak and share as they wanted. So I do appreciate that. And hopefully we can come to a decision on Thursday.
District 3.
I hope everybody had a happy Veterans Day, and I guess we'll be meeting before Thanksgiving. I was going to wish happy Thanksgiving, but we'll be back here before then. But hope everybody had a happy Veterans Day.
And tomorrow will be Charles Dodson's birthday. So if you see him, wish him happy birthday. Is there a motion to?
Can I add one
Oh, yeah.
more thing? Congratulations to Anna Langthorne, who is my communications staff person. She had a baby girl last Tuesday. We all guessed it was a boy, but it is a girl. So congratulations to Anna and her partner, BC.
Congratulations.
Any new business? Hearing none, is there a motion to recess into executive session?
I'll move we recess.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Oh, is he here for the 1 o'clock? He's here 2 hours early?
Okay, we're ready to go back into regular session. Is there a motion?
I'll move we return to regular session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Action on item 42.
I move we proceed as discussed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any citizens now left to be heard? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Oh, okay.
I'm on.
Here we go. I'm in.
I will call the Public Buildings Meeting Authority together. All three trustees are present. It was properly posted on November 10th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from November 1st?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The claims, is there a motion?
I move we approve our claims.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The cash fund appropriations for ICB not to exceed 10,000. Keith, do you?
This is for tenant improvements in the ICB.
They could use it.
Yeah. I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 4 is a cash appropriation, $288,572.35 to PBA reserve.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 5 are four contracts for parking in the Metro Parking Garage.
And I'm just curious, this is for through the end of the fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a
Move
motion?
approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Report of fees for October.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same thing for the PBA.
And I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then the financial statements for August. Is there a motion to receive?
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And same thing again for September.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
Any citizens to be heard for the PBA? Board comments? New business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move